All right, we're live. So, welcome everyone back to my Bible show. We are continuing reading through Genesis, and I haven't read the Bible in a few days. It's kind of tricky. Like, if you want to finish the whole book in a year or so, you have to read, or even if you take a few days off, you have to read kind of about 5 or 6 chapters a day to make some decent progress. So I'm gonna try to get back into it. And I do like working on the live. It is kind of fun to get some comments every now and then. So yeah, it helps me get into the Bible, and also I hope it's entertaining for some people out there. Yeah, my camera's bad, but my audio is okay, so that's all that really matters. All right, so where we last left off was Genesis 6. Oh, hey, Mike, what's up? Thanks for joining. Uh, I'm doing well. Yeah, no issues. Yeah, there's a big storm coming, but I'll survive it. It hasn't come yet, though. I think it's coming on Monday. Okay, so I'll start with Genesis 6. So when people had spread all over the world, let's just say what happened in the first part. So basically, we read about the creation. Okay, let's see if I'm back now. Cut out there for a couple minutes. I had to reset my route, my cell signal. Uh, okay. The imaging is really rough, but I think my audio is good. So that's, as we're reading, that's the main concern, is the audio. So I'm gonna start again before it cuts out. See how far I get. So basically, we're at the point of, we trace the lineage all the way from Adam to Noah, and then Noah had 3 sons, which is going to be important, called Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So chapter 6 is called, there's a section called Human Wickedness. When people had spread all over the world and daughters were being born, some of the heavenly beings saw that these young women were beautiful, so they took the ones they liked. Then the Lord said, I will not allow people to live forever. They are mortal from now on. They will live no longer than 120 years. In those days, and even later, there were giants on the earth who were descendants of humans, human women, and the heavenly beings. They were the great heroes and famous men of long ago. When the Lord saw how wicked everyone on earth was and how evil their thoughts were all the time, he was sorry that he had ever made them and put them on the earth. He was so filled with regret that he said, I will wipe out these people I have created, and also the animals and the birds, because I am sorry I am sorry that I made any of them, but the Lord was pleased with Noah. This is the story of Noah. He had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Noah had no faults and was the only good man of his time. He lived in fellowship with God, but everyone else was evil in God's sight, and violence had spread everywhere. God looked at the world and saw that it was evil, for the people were all like living evil lives. God said to Noah, I have decided to put an end to all people. I will destroy them completely because the world is full of their violent deeds. Build a boat for yourself out of good timber. Make rooms in it and cover it with tar inside and out. Make it 450 feet long, 70 feet 5 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Make a roof for the boat and leave a space of 18 inches between the roof and the sides. Build it with 3 decks and put a door in the side. I am going to send a flood on the earth to destroy every living being. Everything on the earth will die, but I will make a covenant with you. Go into the boat with your wife, your sons, and their wives. Take into the boat with you a male and female of every kind of animal and every kind of bird, in order to keep them alive. Take along all kinds of food for you and for them. Noah did everything that God commanded. The Lord said to Noah, Go into the boat with your whole family. I have found that you are the only one in all the world who does what is right. Take with you 7 pairs of each kind of ritually clean animal, but only 1 pair of each kind of unclean animal. Take also 7 pairs of each kind of bird. Do this so every kind of animal and bird will be kept alive to reproduce again on the earth. 7 days from now, I am going to send rain that will fall for 40 days and nights in order to destroy all the living beings that I have made. And Noah did everything that the Lord commanded. Noah was 600 years old when the flood came on the earth. He and his wife and his sons and their wives went into the boat to escape the flood. A male and female of every kind of animal and bird, whether ritually clean or unclean, went into the boat with Noah, as God had commanded. 7 days later, the flood came. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the second month, all the outlets of the vast body of water beneath the earth burst open. All the floodgates of the sky were opened, and rain fell on the earth for 40 days and nights. On that same day, Noah and his wife went into the boat with their 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives. With them went every kind of animal, domestic and wild, large and small, and every kind of bird. A male and female of each kind of living being went into the boat with Noah, as good as had commanded. Then the Lord shut the door behind Noah. The flood continued for 40 days, and the water became deep enough for the boat to float. The water became deeper, and the boat drifted on the surface. It became so deep that it covered the highest mountains. It went on rising until it was about 25 feet above the tops of the mountains. Every living being on the earth died, every bird, every animal, and every person. Everything on earth that breathed died. The Lord destroyed all living beings on the earth, humans, animals, and birds. The only ones left were Noah and those who were with him in the boat. The water did not start going down for 150 days. So that's a good trivia question, is how long did the flood, uh, how long did the water not go down? Chapter 8. God has not forgotten Noah and all the animals with him in the boat. He caused a wind to blow, and the water started going down. The outlets of the water beneath the earth and the floodgates of the sky were closed. The rain stopped, and the water gradually went down for 150 days. On the 17th day of the 7th month, the boat came to rest on a mountain in the Ararat range. The water kept going down, and on the first day of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains appeared. After 40 days, Noah opened a window and sent out a raven. It did not come back, but kept flying around until the water was completely gone. Meanwhile, Noah sent out a dove to see if the water had gone down. But since the water still covered all the land, the dove did not find a place to land. to light. It flew back to the boat, and Noah reached out and took it in. He waited another 7 days and sent out the dove again. It returned to him in the evening with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. So Noah knew that the water had gone down. Then he waited another 7 days and sent out the dove once more. This time it did not come back. When Noah was 601 years old on the 5th day of the first month, the water was gone. Noah removed the covering of the boat, looked around, and saw that the ground was getting dry. By the 27th day of the second month, the earth was completely dry. God said to Noah, "Go out of the boat with your wife, your sons, and their wives. Take all the birds and animals out with you, so that they may reproduce and spread over all the earth." So Noah went out of the boat with his wife, his sons, and their wives. All the animals and birds went out of the boat in groups of their own kind. Noah built an altar to the Lord. He took one of each kind of ritually clean animal and bird and burned them with a sacrifice on the altar. The odor of the sacrifice pleased the Lord, and he said to himself, "Never again will I put the earth under a curse because of what people do. I know that from the time they are young their thoughts are evil. Never again will I destroy all living beings as I have done this time. As long as the world exists, there will be a time for planting and a time for harvest. There will always be cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." God blessed Noah and his sons and said, "Have many children so that your descendants will live all over the earth. All the animals, birds, and fish will live in fear of you. They are all placed under your power. Now you can eat them as well as green plants. I give them all to you for food. The one thing you must not eat is meat with blood still in it. I forbid this because the life is in the blood. If anyone takes human life, he will be punished. I will punish with death any animal that takes a human life. Human beings were made like God, so whoever murders one of them will be killed by someone else. You must have many children so that your descendants will live all over the earth." God said to Noah and his sons, "I am now making my covenant with you and with your descendants and with all living beings, all birds and all animals, everything that came out of the boat with you. With these words I make my covenant with you. I promise that never again will all living beings be destroyed by a flood. Never again will a flood destroy the earth. As a sign of this everlasting covenant which I am making with you and with all living beings, I am putting my bow in the clouds. It will be the sign of my covenant with the world. Whenever I cover the sky with clouds and the rainbow appears, I will remember my promise to you and to all the animals that a flood will never again destroy all living beings. When the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between me and all living beings on earth. That is the sign of the promise which I am making to all living beings." The sons of Noah who went out of the boat were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three sons of Noah were the ancestors of all the people on the earth. Noah was a farmer, was the first man to plant a vineyard. After he drank some of the wine, he became drunk. When Ham saw that his father was drunk, he went out and told his brothers. Then Shem and Japheth walked back into the tent and comforted their father, keeping their faces turned away. When Noah sobered up and learned what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "A curse on Canaan. He will be a slave to his brothers. Give praise to the Lord, the God of Shem. Canaan will be the slave of Shem. May God cause Japheth to increase. May his descendants live with the people of Shem. Canaan will be the slave of Japheth." After the flood, Noah lived 350 years and died at the age of 950. So Ham was cursed, um, and the other two sons were not because they took better care of their father. Okay, let's try to get to chapter 11 at least. These are the descendants of Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. These three had sons after the flood. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Mesheth, and Tiras were the ancestors of the people who bear their names. The descendants of Gomer were the people of Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. These descendants of Javan were the people of Elisha, Spain, Cyprus, and Rhodes. They were the ancestors of the people who live along the coast and on the islands. These are the descendants of Japheth living in their different tribes and countries, each group speaking their own language. The sons of Ham: Cush, Egypt, Libya, and Canaan were the ancestors of the people who bear their names. The descendants of Cush were the people of Seba, Havilah, Sabbath, Ramah, and Sabteka. The descendants of Ramah were the people of Sheba and Dedan. Cush had a son named Nimrod, who became the world's first great conqueror. By the Lord's help, he was a great hunter, and that is why people may say, "May the Lord make you a great hunter as Nimrod." At first, his kingdom included Babylon, Erech, and Akkad, all three of them in Babylonia. From the land, he went to Assyria and built the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Resen, which is between Nineveh and the great city of Calah. Sorry, but I'm not that great at pronouncing the names. The descendants of Egypt were the people of Lydia, Anam, Lahab, Naphuth, Pathros, Caslu, and all of Crete, from whom the Philistines are descended. Canaan's son Sidon was the oldest, and Heth were the ancestors of the people who bear their names. Canaan was also the ancestor of the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. Hamathites. The different tribes of the Canaanites spread out until the Canaanite borders reached from Sidon southward to Gerar near Gaza, and eastward to Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, near Lasha. These are the descendants of Ham, living in their different tribes and countries, each group speaking its own language. Shem, the oldest brother of Japheth, was the ancestor of all the Hebrews. Shem's sons, Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram, were the ancestors of the peoples whose bear their names. The descendants of Aram were the people of Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshech. Arpachshad was the father of Shelah, who was the father of Eber. Eber had two sons. One's name was Peleg, because during his time the people of the world were divided, and the other was named Joktan. The descendants of Joktan were the people of Almodad, Sheleph, Hazamaraveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All of them were descendants from Joktan. The land in which they lived extended from Mesheteshepher in the eastern hills country. These are the descendants of Shem, living in their different tribes and countries, each group speaking its own language. All these people are the descendants of Noah, nation by nation, according to their different lines of descendant. After the flood, all the nations of the earth were descended from the sons of Noah. So that takes us all the way from Adam and Eve down to Cain and Abel, down to Noah, down to Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and then to all the nations of the world. And you can see some of the nations mentioned in this chapter are still nations, are still countries today, like Libya, Egypt, and Kush is modern day Ethiopia, and Moab, I think, is modern day Jordan. So there's still talking about some of these nations have survived until modern day. Um, Let me just move over to my desk. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Um, Let me just grab my drink and also my turn on the air conditioning. Okay. All right, I was just checking the audio again. It seems to be coming in not so terribly. So I can read standing up now. It's a little bit more comfortable, actually. Okay. The Tower of Babylon. At first, the people of the whole world and had only one language and used the same words. As they wandered about in the east, they came to a plain in Babylonia and settled there. They said to one another, "Come on, let's make bricks and bake them hard." So they had bricks to build with and tar to hold them together. They said, "Now let's build a city with a tower that reaches to the sky, so that we can make a name for ourselves and riot and not be scattered all over the earth." Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which they had built, and he said, "Now then, these are all one people, and they speak one language. This is just the beginning of what they are going to do. Soon they will be able to do anything they want. Let us go down and mix up their language so that they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. The city was called Babylon, because there are there the Lord mixed up the language of all the people, and from there he scattered them all over the earth. These are the descendants of Shem. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he had a son, Arphaxad. After that, he lived another 500 years and had other children. When Arphaxad was 35 years old, he had a son, Shelah. After that, he lived another 403 years and had other children. When Shelah was 30 years old, he had a son, Eber. After that, he lived another 403 years and had other children. When Eber was 34 years old, he had a son, Peleg. After that, he lived another 430 years and had other children. When Peleg was 30 years old, he had a son, Reu. After that, he lived another 209 years and had other children. When Reu was 32 years old, he had a son, Serug. After that, he lived another 207 years and had other children. When Serug was 30 years old, he had a son, Nahor. After that, he lived another 200 years and had other children. When Nahor was 29 years old, he had a son, Terah. After that, he lived another 119 years and had other children. After Terah was 70 years old, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Okay, so Abram is going to be very important. He will become Abraham and is be known, will start the nation of Israel. So these are the descendants of Terah, who was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran was the father of Lot, and Haran died in his hometown of Ur in Babylonia, while his father was still living. Abram married Sarai, and Nahor married Milcah, the daughter of Haran, who was also the father of Iscah. Sarai was not able to have children. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, who was the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, Abram's wife. And with them he left the city of Ur in Babylonia to go to the land of Canaan. They went as far as Haran and settled there. Terah died there at the age of 205. So Terah was Abram's father, and he brought Lot, who was Abram's nephew, Abram and Sarai, which is Abram's wife, and they all went to Canaan. But then Terah, who sounds kind of like their leader, died there in Canaan. And then that's the end of chapter 11. So we got through what I wanted to get through today. So thanks for listening, and next time we'll read more about Abraham.